3 of Roll, Play, Grow, the podcast for tabletop entrepreneurs, creators, and fans. I'm Courtney Stover of Lightheart Adventures, and in this podcast, we talk to the creators behind the brands and the tabletop roleplay gaming space about who they are and how they are turning their passion for gaming into a career. Today, we are speaking with Luna, a YouTuber and Twitch streamer from Australia who goes by the name Luboffin. Her YouTube videos have mostly been centered on DMing tips and player tips for Dungeons & Dragons, though in our interview, she did talk about how they are going to pivot some this year. Luna is newer to the YouTube and Twitch scenes, so we spend a lot of time chatting about what it's like to start a YouTube channel and get some really good perspective on how to navigate your first few months. We chat about things like how basic your equipment can be, finding your editing and graphic style, balancing time with a baby and a full-time job, and ensuring that you enjoy the journey. Luna is a ton of fun, and I really recommend checking out her channel after the episode. Before we hop into this interview, I want to briefly tell you about one of the companies that we are affiliates with. If you are a coffee drinker, then I really recommend that you check out Found Familiar. They sell absolutely amazing coffee that is all themed around D&D. Things like the names of the blends, the artwork on their bags, which is supplied by some really talented artists in the community, and they also have some really cool merch on their site. My personal favorite flavor is a blend called Inspiration, which has a lot of brownie and caramel notes, but I honestly really do enjoy all of them, and I have tried all of the flavors. Go check them out. Use code Lightheart, ADV, to get 10% off your order. Try some amazing coffee, support one of my favorite small businesses, and help out this fledgling show. Okay, let's jump into this conversation with Luna. Today, I am joined by the lovely Luna, a Twitch streamer and YouTuber from Australia. We actually connected in this really special Discord community that she created recently. And when I saw how fun and frankly adorable her YouTube videos are, I just knew that I had to bring her onto the show. So Luna, how are you doing today?
Hello, I'm doing good. It's a nice sunny morning in Australia, so yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it's definitely been the most interesting scheduling that we've had so far.
Yeah.
I'm in Pacific time. You are all the way in Australia, so it is 4 o'clock for me. And what, 10:30 for you?
Yeah, 10:30 the next day. I'm in the future.
Oh, it's always fun. So can you start by just kind of telling us a little bit about who you are and what you're doing on Twitch and YouTube?
Sure. Well, yes, I'm Luna. I'm from South Australia. I have a Twitch stream that I do with my husband where we stream video games. So we just finished playing God of War, and now we're playing the new Miles Morales Spider-Man. So that's really fun. So it's just twice a week, and it's pretty small. We only started a couple of months ago, but that's been really fun. And then I also make D&D videos for YouTube, which at the moment have a focus on helping new players and new dungeon masters. But I'll be doing a bit of a pivot in the next in the new year, kind of focusing a bit more, I guess, on like entertainment-based content rather than tutorial content.
Okay, definitely going to follow up on that in a bit.
Yeah.
So how did you get into gaming?
Well, I'm actually pretty new to it, to be honest. I never really played games as a kid. I had a bit of a weird childhood. And I always put gaming in the like kind of that's cool, but it's not my thing basket without any like reasoning. And when I look back on it, I'm like, why did I ever think that? But, you know, I think it just my general impressions of the gaming community were not necessarily ones that I saw myself in. And I have a lot of friends who have been gamers their whole life. But yeah, it's only been the last like maybe 3 or 4 years that I've really started getting into tabletop games and video games. So that's been, yeah, it's been really fun.
What tabletop games have you been playing?
Well, I started playing just a lot of board games and really enjoyed that. My friendship group had a bit of a phase where that was all we would do, like every night of the week is play board games. But then I started playing D&D about 2 years ago, and that's the only tabletop RPG I have experience with. I've like read through some other ones, but I haven't played them because time is a thing, and it's really hard to fit more in than what I'm already doing. But I'd really like to play some other tabletop games in the future. So when I wrap up my like current D&D campaign, I'm hoping to switch to a new system just to try something else.
Yeah, it's fair. really hard to get multiple campaigns going. We tried to do it for a little while, and it just I don't have time either. Like, I get that.
Yeah, like I'm already in 3 because I'm a player in 2 and then I DM 1, and it works out to be about 1 game a fortnight just because of scheduling, but still, like, it's a fair amount.
Yeah, it's a lot of commitment for sure.
Yeah.
What are your current characters?
So the main game that I play, which is usually weekly, is a Curse of Strahd campaign. So I'm playing Patience, who is a human paladin, has a very like a clear sense of what she thinks is right and wrong in the world, which is been confronted quite a bit in Barovia. So, which my husband is the DM for that game, and he just loves to like twist the knife and give us a lot of like moral choices that my lawful good character can't handle. So, and then I also play a wizard, kind of. It's a very like typical scholarly wizard character, you know. Sometimes it's fun to lean into the tropes. So, and that's for an Eberron game.
Okay. Is there anything that you haven't played yet that you want to, like class-wise?
Oh, I mean, I'd love to play all of them, but it's just like when will I find the time? I have a half-orc wizard I really want to play, but I had put her aside because of the like it was not a optimal, like in quotes, build, and I was a bit concerned that it would be, like just annoying for the other players in the group. But since they brought in the new like origin rules in Tasha's, I'll be able to like rebuild that character the way I actually want it to be. So yeah, she's just sitting there in my D&D Beyond folder. Just waiting.
Fair enough. So which came first, Twitch or YouTube?
YouTube. So I started YouTube about just over a year ago, but I kind of had a bit of a big break of about 6 months where I stopped making videos. And Twitch was only, I think, about 3 months ago. Yeah.
What, if you don't mind me asking, what caused the 6-month break?
I just got a little burnt out. We also bought a house, so we moved, which was good, but it comes with like a lot of its own stresses, and I was just feeling a bit unsure about my videos as well, and I was feeling frustrated with my production value because it's like I know what makes a good video, and I was not really there, and obviously I still have like a lot to learn and a lot to do, but I kind of took the time to like invest in some lighting and some proper audio gear, and like I spent a lot of time in that break learning editing so that I could get better edits and stuff. So once I did that, I felt like a lot better, and I'm feeling much more like confident and excited about the channel now. But I think that's inevitably going to happen occasionally, just kind of needing to take a break, but hopefully it won't be quite so long next time it happens.
Yeah. Kind of what is your background in video editing, production, kind of from before this?
Oh, I had no background before that.
Okay.
Yeah,
awesome.
No. I just started it because Satine Phoenix posted on Twitter, like this was over a year ago, basically being like, where are the women on YouTube? Like we need more women game masters, in these kind of positions. And I was like, well, I mean, I enjoy teaching. I've done a lot of teaching of, I guess, hobbies like in my career. So I have a lot of experience working with beginners, and I thought, I'll just give it a go. It'll be fun. And it was fun. I really enjoyed it. So that's just kind of where that started.
Yeah, that's really cool. So what was kind of the hardest part of getting started, would you say?
Probably just the confidence to do it because, I mean, like I said, I haven't been in the community for very long at all. But I actually think that has a great benefit to the channel because I can still remember explicitly running my first game. Like I remember everything that I found stressful about it. I can remember the anxiety. And I think, when you've been doing something for a long time, those memories kind of fade. And so I think it gives me a perspective on what new players are thinking about when they're running a game, because I still feel very much like I'm a newbie in that space. And I'm kind of a believer that like, you don't need to be an expert at something to teach it. You just need to be willing to accept that you don't know everything and to admit when you don't know something. And I think if you have that attitude, it's much more beneficial than just, pretending to know everything or being an expert in something. I think teachers really need to inspire a passion of learning within their students, not necessarily actually impart the knowledge, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. When you first got started, what were the steps that you took to kind of feel ready to get that first video out there and into the world?
I think I just wrote like a very short outline. And I mean, my videos were super short. My first videos are really short as well. They were like 5 minutes long, which I specifically wanted because a lot of RPG channels, their content is around 20 minutes or more. And as someone who consumes a lot of YouTube, I find that too much. Like, I prefer a shorter video that is a little bit snappier, which I know is not for everybody. But yeah, so I specifically wanted to keep it very short and succinct. So I remember I like wrote an outline and I like rehearsed it a few times, which is funny to me now because I never do that anymore. Yeah, and then I just filmed it on my iPhone and edited it in iMovie because that's the only program I had at the time.
Okay. Are you still using your iPhone? And well, you said at the time, so I guess you've.
Oh well, I am still using my iPhone, but I have an iPhone 12 now, which has an infinitely better camera than my other one did. I would like to invest in a not phone camera at some point, but it's actually perfectly fine for a talking head video. Like, it can shoot in 4K, which is crazy to me. But yeah, that's totally fine. But I've moved to Premiere Pro now for editing, which is just so much easier than iMovie. Even though that's a great program, especially because it's free, if you have a Mac. So yeah, you can't go past the price point.
Yeah, I would never have guessed, honestly, that you were just using a phone camera. That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, the cameras on phones now are pretty intense.
Yeah, I remember I got my Pixel 3, gosh, I don't know, maybe a year and a half ago now. And I remember taking a photo with it and then comparing it to something from an actual real camera that I have that's several years old and just feeling both like happy and also sad that the phone was better than the real camera.
Yeah.
For those our listeners that haven't seen your videos, like, can you just talk a little bit more about the different topics that you've done so far?
Yeah. So when I started out, I really focused on tips for new dungeon masters. So it was very much about like tips for running the game, like little tricks at the table to kind of make things a bit easier. And I've actually privated a lot of those videos now, but mainly because I know I can do them a bit more justice. So I'm going to kind of redo that content. It will have a much better quality than it did then. But yeah, it was very much a focus on dungeon masters. But now I kind of shifted a little more to general advice for players and dungeon masters, because I actually feel like there is a lot of content out there for dungeon masters on YouTube, but I don't think there's as much content for players. So about improving their playing. So kind of shifted focus a little bit to that. But then, yeah, as I said, I'm kind of shifting away from tutorials a bit in the new year. So I don't know. We'll just see how it all evolves.
Well, yeah. So what's the plan after the new year?
So I'm going to be making, I guess more entertainment content rather than educational content, just because I enjoy doing the tutorials, but I find them a bit stressful because, as a woman on the internet, TM, like I'm very concerned about getting the rules right because I know that the internet can be a mean place, and also I don't want to share incorrect information. So doing the tutorial videos, like I'm doing a how to play series, which is essentially just breaking down the player's handbook, has been really stressful because I have to write very detailed scripts to make sure that like every single thing I'm saying is the correct rule in the book, and it's just not as fun. I prefer when the videos have a bit more of a like casual feeling. And so yeah, I'll be doing things like I'm going to do a cooking video from the new like D&D cookbook. I've got a few like, I guess, sewing or crafting projects in the works, and I'm going to do some silly videos with my husband about like practicing NPC voices, and just it's all going to be like tabletop and geek related, but just a little bit more of a broader scope.
Yeah, that sounds really fun. Is it?
Yeah, it should be.
So as of the day of this recording, I know the video that I saw this morning was what Disney villain would be the best BBEG.
Yeah, that was so fun.
Is it going to be more stuff kind of like that?
Yeah, I'd like to do more like that. That was just it was a part of a collaboration that I did with a lot of other YouTubers, and it was just like a little 3-minute video, but it had so much fun, and I actually had to cut out like almost double the content because I just could talk about it for ages. And yeah, I think those kinds of things are really fun. I'd love to do a lot of like more character building. So like, I've got a few friends who I think would make really interesting D&D characters. So it's like, I'll turn them into some D&D characters, things like that. Yeah, that was a fun one to film.
Yeah, it was really fun. If you guys haven't seen any of her videos, you need to go find that one and find out which villain it is.
That's right.
So how long would you say that you are spending on the full production of each of these videos, kind of from like first concept all the way to publishing? Like, can you walk us through that process?
Yeah, so I've recently been planning out all of my videos using Notion because I just love productivity tools and I change them every 6 months, but Notion seems to be working pretty well. So at the moment, I actually have all of my videos planned until like April because I got very enthusiastic. So normally I just kind of like will jot down a bunch of ideas and then I pick the ones that I want to develop, and then I work on a bit of an outline or sometimes even a full script if it's needed for the video. And then I normally try and film 2 or 3 videos in one day. I normally only get 2 done, but occasionally 3 because I get 1 day a fortnight that I can have the house to myself without my kids. So I kind of have to use that day to like the maximum potential. And if I miss a filming day, it means I don't have content for a month because just of the way my schedule is. So once it's filmed, that it normally takes me about, I don't know, 4 to 5 hours of filming for 3 videos, just with all the like setting up of the lights and, mucking around and not actually doing it. And and then the editing, it just really depends on the video. Some edits are really quick and they just flow very easily. And then other edits take me longer if I ramble more and I need to kind of cut the rambling together. So editing is maybe like 3 to 10 hours depending on the video. And then that's it. And then publishing, that takes a little while because I do the captions by hand by myself. So that can take half an hour to an hour to do the closed captions.
Oh yeah, that's really awesome. I didn't realize that you were doing the captions yourself.
Yeah, well, YouTube has the auto captions, but they're not perfect. And, I think closed captions are super important. And hopefully one day I can pay someone to caption them for me. But right now, it's a 0 budget channel. So yeah, do that myself right now.
No, I get that. I, at some point, want to have full transcriptions of these, but
yeah,
it's definitely a commitment. Like hour-long episodes. It's a lot of words to type.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
How many episodes are you trying to get out per month?
I ideally want to do 1 every 2 weeks. That's kind of the schedule I've been sticking to the last few months. But yeah, before that, it was just maybe more like once a month. Yeah. And when I first started, it was weekly, but that was just too much. Yeah. So once every 2 weeks I find that to be about the maximum at the moment that I can fit in. Because I work a full-time day job and I have other things. So.
And then how often are you on Twitch?
2 nights a week, usually at the moment, Wednesday and Sunday nights. But that always feels like much more of it doesn't necessarily feel like a commitment because it's just fun hanging out with my husband and playing games, so, and it's a bit more flexible too. We can move that around.
How did the Twitch streaming start?
Well, my friend Sarah is a full-time content creator and she started streaming on Twitch about a year ago. And I'm one of her moderators. So before that, I hadn't ever really hung out on Twitch at all. And in fact, I kind of did not understand why anyone would want to watch someone else play a game. I was like, but you could just play the game yourself. I don't understand. but moderating for her, she streams 2 to 3 times a week when I was on Twitch a lot more. And, then I started seeing other channels and I was like, oh, I get it now. I completely understand. And my husband, Jared, has wanted to stream for as long as I've known him, but it's just something that never really happened because he's been gaming his whole life. And yeah, we just decided that it would be a really good way to like this sounds terrible, but like actually schedule time together. Because, especially with a kid, it sometimes we get to the end of the week and we've barely seen each other, and we're always just so exhausted at the end of the day. But this is kind of like, if we've committed to streaming, then we've committed to spending time together. It sounds so sad, but it works and we really enjoy it. So I'm really glad we did, and we found like such a lovely little community of other streamers as well, that are sort of like local to us that we've become quite good friends with, and yeah, it's just been a very pleasant experience.
Do you ever do kind of cross streams with them?
We haven't done that yet, mainly because our schedules don't really align. Like a lot of my friends scheduled stream either early in the day or like very late at night, and we kind of are in the middle of that. So, but one day.
Fair enough. Going back to earlier when you're saying that you didn't understand why people would want to watch someone else playing a video game, I honestly really get that, because it wasn't until maybe a year ago that I logged on to Twitch either for the first time.
Yeah.
I always used to be exactly the same. I was like, if I want to know the story, then I'll play it myself.
And then I'm like, oh, it's not about the game. I get it now.
Exactly. So I guess like there's Twitch and you've got YouTube, and all of that is like camera, video-based content. Are you using different equipment for Twitch versus YouTube?
Yeah. So we have like a webcam, and we have 2 mics on booms for streaming. And for YouTube, I just film with my phone, as I said, and I just have like a lapel mic that I use, and I also edit on a different PC. So yeah, it's just a different setup altogether. How
do you decide on what topics you're going to address in like your next, day of filming?
Yeah, I guess. Lately I've really been focused on this, like how to play series, mainly because I wanted to have a bunch of videos that a new player could watch like in a row that would give them a good rundown of just all of the general rules of the game. And that kind of stuff is also, I guess, like evergreen content that I knew it wouldn't perform particularly well on upload, but hopefully over time it will kind of bring new people to the channel who are specifically looking for that. And I kind of am always trying to think about the things that, I really struggle with still when I'm running a game, and then work through that process like via the video. So I try to keep a very open-minded approach to everything that I'm doing, and kind of share that process in the video or on the screen, so that people can see those mistakes and see that process and feel connected to it, rather than feeling like, oh, this is a video that shows like a perfect process that's completely working for the table. That's not really attainable for me right now. I think it's good to kind of share those missteps and mistakes. So I try and keep those in the videos. And
yeah, like I was watching your planning a festive one-shot one recently too, and so it's like when your cat is kind of walking in. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah. And also, just being very like explicit. Like, I don't know everything. This is just something that I thought about. I haven't actually tried it, so if you try it, let me know. Like those kinds of things. But then moving into content for the new year, I'm thinking about things that excite me and things that I would find fun to film, because I actually really dislike the filming process at the moment. Like, it's the least enjoyable part of it for me, and I want to change that. So I'm thinking about things that will be really fun to film. Like, I'm going to do a video with my sister and with my husband, kind of like bring other people into the channel to kind of, make that more fun, and so that can translate, into the final product.
So what is it about filming right now that you are not enjoying?
I think it is just because I do feel that pressure to get, the specifics right. And it takes me a long time, because I kind of have to retake things if I've said something wrong. So I might do multiple takes of the same, like, couple of sentences. And yeah, I mean, this is not the case for every video, but just sometimes, it can just feel a little bit stressful. I really enjoy the editing process much more. That's my favorite part of making the video, and something I want to do more of in the future for like other people's channels as well. But yeah, I think changing it up will really help. I've already started filming some of the content for the new videos, and I'm enjoying them so much more.
Have you encountered the trolls already? Like, you're talking about being a woman creating YouTube videos, and it's on this topic that has in the past definitely been a little more centered on the male audience. So Have you had to deal with that already? Like, have you had people calling you out and saying that you said something incorrect or not the way that they interpret it?
I actually haven't yet. I've had a generally very pleasant experience, but I think that's because my channel is still pretty small. And so it doesn't really, it doesn't move outside my bubble necessarily all that much at the moment. And I've kind of seemed to have like cultivated, especially like on Twitter, I've had a really nice experience on Twitter, cultivated like a nice group of people that are not like that. But I'm sure it's inevitable that it's going to happen at some point, you know. I think that's the case for any content creator, but so far, so good.
That's good. That's good.
But I've definitely seen other people experience it, like especially streamers, you know, especially at the moment, so many women of color are getting just targeted harassment on Twitch and YouTube, and it's just absolutely disgusting, you know. So I completely recognize my like privilege as a cis white woman, you know, and although I am queer, it's like I am in a straight presenting relationship, so I don't cop any of that, you know. So I think that plays a huge part in that, of me not receiving that kind of treatment versus, you know, other creators in the space.
Yeah, for sure. So what has it been like trying to build up this community? Like kind of what's your process been?
I don't think I have one, to be perfectly honest. I just try and be as genuine as I can be, because I just think, I mean, those are the communities that I'm a part of. Like the people that I'm really drawn to are the people that feel very genuine. And, you know, I completely understand that the personality that people put in front of the camera or on their social media is not their entire personality. But I think you can get a sense of when someone is being genuine and they are like wanting to share what they have, but not necessarily because they want the attention, I suppose, or I don't know. I'm not really sure what I'm trying to say, but yeah, just I guess that really like, yeah, just a genuine feeling of excitement about what they're doing, and then that brings other people in as well. So I guess that's just been my general approach. But you know, I also have very small community now, so
Maybe sure, but it's definitely been growing pretty quickly.
I'm very pleased, and you know, I'm constantly humbled by anyone who wants to watch my content or see what I'm doing. You know, I'm hoping that I'll hold on to that, and I think I will. But yeah, I try and stay very like grateful and humble for that.
You just hit a little bit of a milestone, isn't that right, on YouTube?
Yes, well, I just hit 450 subs, which is really good because a month ago I was at like 280, I think. So it's grown pretty quick. But then as soon as I posted that, someone unsubscribed. So now I'm at 449 again. I'm like, ugh.
Isn't that how it always happens though? Like, yeah, I remember we have probably our biggest following is on Instagram, and that's just because with Lightheart Adventures, it started off as mostly just being maps, and so it just made more sense to be on Instagram. And I swear there's been 3 different times that we'll be like, "Ooh, we hit, you know, X hundred followers," and like we'll make a post and there'll be like a cool little map with the number, and then immediately lose 2 followers. I'm like,
yeah, I think next time I gotta wait until there's like a bit of a buffer. But you know, I try not to focus too much on the numbers. Like I do have a goal. I really would love to get 1,000 subscribers, just because it does feel like, you know, it feels like a big milestone. But at the end of the day, you know, I don't think like the numbers are actually people, and so I want those people to be engaged. So I'm much more focused on, I guess, the engagement of the community rather than the number of people in the community. And I think that helps me as well when sometimes I feel like frustrated at myself, like I'm not doing enough to grow this quick enough. But reality is like I have a very like active and engaged little community, and it doesn't matter that it's small. Like I would much rather it be that way than have a really, you know, large sub count but not have that many people engaging or sharing their thoughts, you know.
oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's, you know, what point is there in having like a huge number if only 20 people are engaging?
Yeah.
That being said, though, like so that was a pretty big jump in kind of awareness, I'd say, in the last month. Like, was there anything in specific that you think that you did that may have contributed to that?
Yeah, I know exactly what it was. So the Discord server that you mentioned earlier, yeah, I just had a bit of an idea that I wanted to connect with other. Well, at the time I had specified women creators in the RPG space, but since then it's grown to basically creators who are not men, which it sounds so exclusionary, but you know, we wanted that kind of space because I am in a couple of other servers that are for content creators, but I am like one of the only women or non-men in there. And so I thought, I wonder if there'll be a few people who would be interested. And I kind of tagged a couple of mutuals, like maybe 4 or 5. And then that particular post just kind of went, I guess, small scale viral on Twitter. But within 2 days, I think we had almost hit like 150 or 200 people join in a day or two, which was completely overwhelming because I just thought it was going to be this, small handful of people. But so that my tweet about that kind of took off, and then I was like, oh, there are new people here. So I did like a new pinned post, and then that kind of got reshared a lot, which bumped up my YouTube numbers quite a bit. So, and then since that time, it's kind of steadied back off to its like normal growth rate. I've also been posting a lot more consistently though over the last couple of months, which has definitely helped.
Oh yeah, consistency is definitely key.
Yeah.
Of the videos that you've done so far, which kind of topics do you think have been the best received or most popular or had the most engagement?
Probably I did a video about note-taking, and that's definitely been the one people have gone to the most. But I also, it was one of those few moments where I was like, I can jump on this thing because it was right after, I'm not sure if you watch Critical Role, but it was right after Marisha had done this huge like conspiracy theory dive using all of her notes that were like over a year old. And I was like, that's me. I do that. Like I have a huge notebook. So I was like, I'm going to do a video about this. So I think there was a bit of a, people were thinking about note taking a bit more at the time. And because I think that was one of the first videos I did as well that was much more specifically directed at players. Like, I mean, obviously it's applicable to Dungeon Masters too, but I kind of specified it towards players taking notes at the table. So I don't think there are as many videos out there about that topic.
Yeah, I think you're right. I do remember that one too. And I remember all of the chatter happening about that topic at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've talked a few times about how there's more content out there for Dungeon Masters than there is for players. Like what kind of content would you like to see? Whether it was something that you were able to create yourself or just be out there more?
Yeah, well, I think just I don't know if, because I'm not experienced in other RPGs, I don't know if it's the case for others, but I feel like especially in D&D, there's a lot of emphasis on the Dungeon Master ensuring that the players are having a good time, the Dungeon Master checking in and all of those things, which are all absolutely, true and critical, but there's not as much, at least I don't see as much talk about, players checking in with Dungeon Masters to make sure that they're having a good time or players taking on that responsibility to ensure that everybody else is having a good time as well. And, it even comes down to things like scheduling. Like you often hear it's Dungeon Masters who are taking care of scheduling games. They're the ones, checking in every week to make sure that the game is still running, and players, just turning up at the table, whereas the Dungeon Masters are putting in, sometimes hours of work behind the scenes to get the game set up. Where, I think players can also have an equal investment in reading over their notes so that they remember what happened and they can do the recap, or, taking notes for the group or running the schedule. Yeah, just, I don't know, just things like that. Or taking some of the responsibility onto themselves to make sure that they are having a good time, not just relying on the Dungeon Master to sort of provide that experience. I mean, that's just been my experience. Maybe, I'm sure not every table is like that, but just it seems like there's a lot out there for like how to make your game great as a Dungeon Master, but not so much, from the perspective of a player.
What questions do you think that most new players have that like there isn't necessarily a whole lot of like information for them? There's so many videos and things out there that are just, oh, here's how to play Dungeons and Dragons. But if you really kind of dive into that, like, what do you think would help a player become a much better group player?
Yeah, that's really interesting. So this is, I would say I don't have as much experience because I basically started out as a Dungeon Master. Like I think I'd only played 2 games before I ran my first game. So I've definitely done a lot more DMing than I've done playing. But yeah, I think Ginny D recently did a very good video about this, about like being a selfish role player and like making sure that you're giving space to other people at the table. So I think, yeah, things around that topic, like how to roleplay at the table without like dominating the spotlight, or how to pick up on cues when maybe like scenes need to be pushed a bit more, because we all hear the jokes about players like spending 2 hours talking to like the barkeep when the dungeon master is like, this is not what I had planned, and that's all absolutely fine if everyone is enjoying that. But, maybe sometimes picking up those cues about like when the pace of the narrative needs to change, because it's collaborative. It's not just like players are passive members of the story, like they are driving the story. So yeah, maybe, I don't really know. I think that's an interesting topic. I don't know. Like, as I said, I try and be open when I don't know about something. So that's something I would like to see more of, but I don't necessarily know if I have the ideas to put it out there necessarily.
Honestly, I think that was a great answer. I know that some of this is already going to be in your videos, but just to give a little bit of a taste of the subject matters that you've got so far, what are some of your kind of like favorite tips to give a new dungeon master?
Well, the first one is to not stress about remembering all of the rules. It's actually not, goes back to that player responsibility. It's not the dungeon master's role to know all the rules, especially about class features and things like that. So if you don't know the rules, that's fine. There's no issue with just taking 2 minutes to look up a rule. And I remember a lot of my early games were me doing that. Yeah, and I would say to not go in with too much preparation, because I think there's a lot of emphasis on preparing for a game when you're a new dungeon master. But really, the only way you're going to get more comfortable running games is to run them. So just kind of having a few ideas about what you want the game to be, and just accepting that not everything is going to go perfectly, and that it's okay to just maybe say to the players, like, I'm not prepared for this. Just give me 10 minutes while I, work out what's going to happen next, because you burned down the tavern I wanted you to visit or something. And try and remember that it is a game, and the purpose is fun. If you get too stressed, that to kind of step back and remember that it is just a game. I know it's obviously a game we can all get very invested in and put a lot of time and care and energy into, but at the end of the day, it's a game.
It's so important to have like a good group of players and DM too. Like, it's so easy to just walk into a session, and if one person is having a bad day, it's just like, well, now whose responsibility is it to like get the game going? And it shouldn't be anyone's in particular, but I feel like that happens so often.
Yeah, that's right. It should be a group effort.
Yeah. So since you kind of started this whole journey about a year ago, what would you say has been the most rewarding part of it?
I think meeting new people online, like making new friends, has absolutely been wonderful. Like, and never would have thought I would meet so many people all over the world, and the Discord server has been a big part of that, and making those kind of connections. And also, just on a more practical level, learning editing has been such a joy. Like, it's never something I thought I would enjoy it. I never would have picked it up otherwise. And now it's something that I'm like considering turning into my like day job. And yeah, just super enjoying that. And I love learning new things. And I think it's important to keep being a beginner at things so that you can always have that like joy of learning. And so, that has been really, really fun over the last year.
Yeah. You always have these really cute effects in your videos too. Like, how long did it take you to kind of figure out what your style was going to be?
Yeah, that's definitely taken a long time. Like, I recently rewatched my first video, which was a mistake. But I can, it's been helpful to see the progression. And what I'd like to do is I try and watch a quite wide range of YouTube videos, so that I can kind of narrow down the things that I enjoy about other people's videos, and then try and kind of inject some of that essence into my own. So I try and actually I don't watch necessarily a lot of D&D videos or RPG videos on YouTube. I watch a lot of YouTube, so it's probably more than the average person, but I try and kind of spread it around, because I think, the things that I enjoy the most about channels is like, the entertainment factor. I really like snappy edits that are, that kind of has a quick pace. I enjoy when there are music changes that kind of suit the vibe, and those are kind of things that I've picked up from like lots of different kinds of channels, and really enjoyed sort of emulating, I suppose.
Do you expect that you'll kind of keep the same style and vibe when you move into the more entertainment-based videos?
I think so, but I think I'll probably just be able to turn it up like more because I really enjoy like being silly and goofy. And, when you're trying to talk through a paragraph of like hard rules, it can be hard to kind of keep that light and casual kind of vibe. So I think once I move to the more broad videos, I'll be able to kind of turn up the dial on like the goofy editing. Yeah, which I'm looking forward to.
So this question may be helped by the fact that you just recently rewatched some of your first videos. But if you were to like go back in time and start all over, is there anything that you would do differently?
Yes, I would buy lights. My first videos are so dark. Oh gosh. Now I'm like too lit up. I like being so blindingly bright. Yeah, but also I would tell myself to just relax more and kind of loosen up and have fun. The videos that definitely turn out the best are the ones where I'm obviously enjoying it rather than trying to be a very serious YouTuber.
D&D rules are so serious.
Yeah. I think the part of that, I mean, I don't know if this is just something I've put on myself, probably is, but I definitely feel a lot more pressure, anytime I'm doing silly or things that are like incorrect about gaming, I feel like a lot of pressure that like there's already so much rhetoric about women not being able to play games that anytime I present that on the internet, I feel like the weight of that is on my shoulders. And if I, post a clip of myself completely sucking at a video game, which I've done multiple times, that I'm reinforcing that rhetoric. This happened kind of. I have a TikTok account as well that's very neglected, but it's where I post some of the gaming videos from our streams. And I posted one recently where I yelled at Jared because he was trying to like help me when I was frustrated. And that's the only video that I've gotten a lot of like, oh, girls can't play games, or this is why women shouldn't play games, like, oh, she was having a woman moment, oh, she must have been like on a period, like, just all of those just awful things. And so, yeah, that's kind of something I do feel sometimes, that like pressure to be good at the thing just to prove that we can do the thing, which is stupid because I don't play games or play D&D to be good at it. I do it because it's fun, don't actually have to be good.
That is such a frustrating double standard. It's like, okay, and then meanwhile, you have your top Twitch streamers that are men and they lose their mind because they fell off something and everyone's like, haha, it's so funny.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the more dramatic they are, the better. But the more dramatic we are, like we're just crazy.
Yeah, I've definitely found that to be much more the case with like the Twitch side of things. I haven't really had that as much from YouTube, but yeah,
that's good.
I think it's a big problem in the gaming culture.
We talked a little bit about kind of the plans for entertainment-based content coming after the new year, but are there any specific projects or anything else that you're really excited about that's coming up that you can talk about?
Well, I just started a Patreon, so that's been really nice and fun, and also like I was completely overwhelmed that people actually joined it. Like it's still very small, but that's kind of given me like I like having a little outlet where I can do more of these like casual chatty type things. So I do like a fortnightly video where I just kind of sit and chat at the camera about what I'm doing and things like that. And so I like having that outlet of kind of showing the behind the scenes a little bit more. That's really enjoyable. So I'm really looking forward to kind of growing that little community and working on that side of things as well. And then just with the videos, I think it will just be I'm just looking forward to seeing how they do and how they're received. I imagine that like it's going to be a little bit of a bumpy start just because a lot of people have subscribed to my channel expecting the tutorial content. So I'm sure it will probably take a bit of time to find its feet, and I'll probably take my time finding my feet doing that stuff. But yeah, I'm interested to see how it goes.
Yeah. What kind of rewards are you offering on your Patreon? Like, I mean, you mentioned the kind of behind the scenes, just chit chat. But what other kinds of things?
Yeah, it's basically a lot of behind the scenes stuff. So I've been posting a lot about some of the projects that I'm working on for upcoming videos, which I haven't posted about anywhere else. And I'll hopefully be doing like a monthly live stream I have a Patreon only Discord server. So in there, like once a month, we'll just, I don't know, hang out and play games and stuff. yeah, it's very much about more, I guess, behind the scenes things. And I know a lot of D&D or RPG patrons are very much about providing resources for games. So I felt like that was a thing that was already pretty well covered in the space. And also I don't necessarily feel confident doing that. Like I don't have any experience with homebrew, and I wouldn't feel confident necessarily putting out like player resources necessarily just at this stage where I am, with gaming and stuff. So it's much more focused on like sharing the process and sharing behind the scenes, and also being maybe like a bit more vulnerable there, because those people, I feel like, I know they've got my back. They're, giving money every month to like keep that content going. So I do feel like I can be a little bit more vulnerable there, which is kind of nice having that space.
Are there any kind of specific goals that you're working towards with the help of the Patreon?
Well, we met the first goal, which was to be able to get After Effects and Audition, because I currently have Premiere, but, it's not an inexpensive program. But I really wanted to play around with After Effects and do stuff like that. So we've met that goal, which is very exciting. The next goal is hopefully upgrading my lighting, because it's just some very cheap softboxes. And they do the job, but I have to film during the daytime, and I would like to be able to film at night, because that would give me a lot more flexibility. I could film once my kid goes to bed. So then I would probably be able to produce more content, because I wouldn't be so constricted about when I could film. Yeah, so we'll see how that goes.
Cool. Well, to kind of wrap things up, I would love to just go over, where can people find you?
You can find me pretty much anywhere with the handle Luboffin, so Luboffin. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube under that handle. My Twitch stream is Jared and Luna. So that's where I stream over on Twitch. But yeah, basically, if you go to my Twitter, that's kind of like my one-stop shop for everything I do. So, and I'm sometimes on TikTok, but I don't really understand it. So I'm not hip with the kids there.
Honestly, I still haven't even made a TikTok account. So
yeah.
Guess I'm just getting really old now. Well, perfect. Well, thank you so much, Luna, for coming and chatting with me today. This was really fun.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. Thank you so much for asking me.
That's it for today's episode of Roll, Play, Grow. To check out the show notes, you can go to lightheartadventures.com/RPG. To keep up with every episode, please subscribe on your podcast player of choice. And if you're enjoying the show, please leave me a review. Reviews are one of the best ways to help a newer podcast get up off the ground. To follow me on Twitter, you can either find me at LightheartADV for our business account, or at Ketra WCR to see me tweet about other things like my dog and World of Warcraft. You can also find us as Lightheart Adventures on both Instagram and Patreon. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next week on Roll, Play, Grow.